Welcome to Lavender Letter, where pop culture meets purpose. I'm your host, Melanie Diamond, and it's good to have you listening. In this episode, I am introducing myself and my vision for the show. A few weeks ago, I attended an improv comedy class. So, for those that know me, I like to joke and laugh a lot. I grew up on Def Comedy Jam, SNL, Mad TV, and Comic View. My family is very funny and we are always joking. So, attending an improv comedy class has been something that I have wanted to do for a minute. However, I was always signing up and canceling. I finally bit the bullet and signed up a few hours before and decided to go. Let me say this, it was really hard, but I'm glad that I tried it. So, the hard part was me having to rewire my thinking process in the moment. You usually have one or more scene partners. There is a game in improv called Yes and. And to those unfamiliar, that means that to whatever one of your scene partners say, you reply yes and it adds on to the scene. There is usually a opening statement. The crowd can sometimes give a topic and we go on from there. So, for example, let's say that my scene partner said there's a big crowd today. I would respond to that and so on and so forth. But every statement after that first one gets crazier and even more exaggerated, which adds on to the comedy. The difficulty for me is trying not to predict what my scene partner would say and responding to something that has not been said yet. So we are usually taught through life how to speak to people and how conversations usually go. We ask people, how are you? And some of us respond, I'm fine. And it can get very rehearsed. You usually have a couple different canned responses that you say to people. I'm fine. How are you? What's up? Living the dream, like stuff like that. But with improv, you have to be intentional, not only with your scene partner, but with responding to the audience. You have no idea what your scene partner is going to say. This is a person who, in my case, I didn't know before the class and I didn't know, the way that they thought and what they would find funny. And I had no idea what the crowd would find funny. And so some of my lines would fall flat, which was a little shock to my ego, but I'm glad that I did it and I would probably do it again because it pushed me out of my comfort zone and it kind of reminded me to stay in the moment and stay intentional. Things that I am obsessed with at the moment are gel pens, crab puffs, leadership books, and Laura Mercier powder. Speaking of leadership books, I am starting a new segment called Flourish Reads, where I talk about some of the things that I am reading at the moment. I started a book club last year called Flourish, and the goal of the book club was to read books and different things that allowed us to level up and become the best version of ourselves. I am reading a book at the moment called Leaders Eat Last by Simon Sinek. The book's title and concept came from a dinner where Simon saw that some of the highest ranking military officers would be the last to fix their plate at different meal times. And so it talks about why different businesses and different organizations do better than others. And part of that is because some leaders put others before themselves. Simon Sinek is best known for writing the book Start With Why, which talks about how leaders inspire others to be productive by starting with their why or or the purpose behind why they're doing whatever it is that they are doing. And so if you have any suggestions for different things that Flourish can read, make sure that you let us know in the comments. For many students, it is the first few weeks of school, and I would be remiss if I didn't talk about my seminary journey and how I got here. I am a student in the Master of Arts in Counseling program at Dallas Theological Seminary, and I am a first year. I have had a pretty colorful journey to getting here, and I wanted to discuss that. So, first of all, I never thought that I would be in school again. I graduated with a master's from Texas State in 2023. And at the time, I was so burnt out from school and my internship that I said it would be my last degree. However, something in me just kept feeling like I wasn't done with learning. And so around the time of graduation, I was looking into PhD programs, but I wasn't seeing anything that I was interested in. I was at church and I remember that morning because I remember asking God for marching orders. My family is heavily involved in the military. So we have Army and Navy veterans on both sides. And so I grew up hearing a lot about marching orders and what they were. Marching orders give strategy, and to the people that are given them, they are to follow them. I am always careful when I ask for marching orders from God because it is usually something that pushes me out of my comfort zone. And so I'm at church and we have a part of the service where people can give a prophetic word. And one of the elders gets up and gives me a word from God about what about what I'm doing next. And he says, God is calling you into biblical learning. Have you ever thought about seminary school? And I just started crying. I burst into tears for two reasons. Please don't judge. One, I was thinking about how burnt out I was to begin with. I was exhausted. I was tired. And if you know anything about graduate school, it will take a lot out of you. But two, I didn't think that someone like me should be in seminary. And that was a feeling of condemnation and guilt from all of the years that I had spent questioning God, shying away from church, and being agnostic. I grew up a PK. A lot of my family members are in ministry. They are pastors. They are ministers, deacons, bishops. But I grew up questioning things. Um, I don't shy away from my past. I am honestly okay with it because I know that there are a lot of people that do question things. I think it builds your faith when you have questions and that God answers them for you. Sometimes they don't get answered, and that's okay too. But I thought that seminary was for people who knew all along that they were Christian, who accepted the Bible and church without question. And people that know me know that I love to research. I love to dig into the history behind things and that I don't accept the status quo easily. And so even with being told a word about seminary, I questioned that. I wasn't sure if God would have me in a space where I felt questions would not be as encouraged. I had questions about how to reconcile the fact that I have politics that lean left and that I believe in social justice. I had questions about being around people that come from denominations that are not as progressive about women being in church leadership or ministering to people. The denomination that I grew up in doesn't believe in women being involved in anything other than children's and women's ministries. And so growing up in that and then dealing with this calling has been an interesting ride. But what I have not questioned is that Jesus is real and that I want to make him accessible and known to others. I want others to experience the love of God. I want others to experience ministers that care about them, that want to see them saved, that want to live lives that are blessed and flourishing. I had originally applied to the Christian education program, but my pastor encouraged me to transfer to the counseling program. And I didn't understand it at that time, but honestly, I do now. I'm someone who has struggled with anxiety and depression for most of my life, and I have seen family members that have struggled with substance abuse, and I have seen others at their lowest, and I've been at my lowest. Ministry is something that I've realized that I have been doing for a lot of my life, even when I wasn't a part of the church. When I was in the world, I found that people opened up to me all of the time, and they still do. And it's usually in the most unlikely of situations. And so it would be people that on first glance it seemed that they had everything, but we are all in need of a savior. And so what comforts me on this journey is being able to point people back to him. So I wanted to talk about the title of this episode, Put Me in a Game, Coach. I got the most beautiful gift last weekend, y'all. So to start, I am outing myself as a coach girly. I love the other labels, but I have been obsessed since 7th grade when my dad got me a bag for my birthday, and I'm going to stick beside him. The leather is unmatched. The stitching is incredible, and I have always gotten great customer service from Coach. So a few weeks ago, Coach announced their fall collection, and there was a brown patchwork bag that I saw and I fell in love with. Kate Spade had a similar bag a few years ago that I was obsessed with, but I never ended up getting. So when I saw this one, I posted it about it on Facebook, honestly, so that my parents could get ideas for Christmas. I didn't think anybody else would notice, much less get it for me. So one of my friends was saying that she had something for me, and I'm thinking, it's a journal, it's pens. The gifts that people give me usually kind of fall into, the stationery category. I had no idea that it was the bag. So imagine my surprise when I saw it. And so it was from a friend who said that they had been watching me this season and was grateful for how I had shown up for her. And I honestly just felt seen by that because even though so much was happening, I was really trying the best that I could to show up for my people and support what they had going on. Guys, if we're going to be honest, I felt that this past season was a Job season. And if you are unfamiliar with Job's story, he literally lost everything. And he lost everything in an attempt to make him curse God and act blasphemous. And not to be dramatic, but at this point, you should know that I am dramatic. I have felt that it was a Job season. I felt that for a while, I was just going through unnecessary strife. It was a scheme set up by Todd. I felt that the moment that I said yes to God, that I had submitted to his will over my life, that I told God to put me in the game, Coach, all of this started to happen. I lost opportunities that I really wanted. I lost friends. I lost guys. I was dealing with mean girls and bullies at work. I kept having all of these transitions that were not fun. It was just so much going on. And so this gift was unexpected because it felt like for for the first time in a really long time that I just got to breathe and reflect over everything. And I finally could feel at peace and I could finally feel seen. And now I know that this is just what comes with walking in your calling and trying to live for God. But this also kind of shows me that people are watching what you're doing. They're watching your walk. They're watching the way that you treat people. They're watching the way that you show up. They're watching. People that love you, people that can't stand you. People are watching. We have reached the end of the show. Thank you for listening to this episode of Lavender Letter with Melanie Diamond. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please subscribe and leave a rating or review. Until next time.